Okay, what's volume of music? I'm gonna try reading again. Yay! Yay! Reading. I don't like reading, especially out loud. But we're doing it! Woo, reading, yes! Read stream, read stream! We are going to be doing the next couple chapters of my book. We're going to be reading the next couple chapters. I've just read for half an hour. Ah, I see. Yeah, we're going to continue reading. And just like last time, thank you for the file. Just like last time, I'm going to make this clear. I'm going to read like I normally read to myself, which means every few minutes I am going to interrupt with some form of a fact. If that is annoying, I would not listen to this reading. Because that's how I read. Okay. But for catch up of where we were, so we read the prologue and the first chapter. I introduced you guys to Meadow. I explained the situation of the fact that an entire race almost got wiped out because of a selfish king. And the prologue, that's in the prologue. And then I introduced you guys to Meadow, who kidnapped a prince. He kidnapped a prince. Why do I write him so stupidly? Oh, because he's supposed to be stupid. That's why. Sorry. One of our main characters is supposed to be stupid. He's dumb. He don't think things through. He don't think his stuff through. He comes up with a plan, he don't think it through. But I'm so tired from today, so I don't know. Yeah, you don't have to be here even longer. If you enjoy the reading, it will be up on my VOD channel. Right now, I'm cutting down the other one, so it's just the reading on my VOD channel for the first one. But this will be on my VOD channel, so. But yeah, basically, for the next couple chapters, I think I said this in the beginning of the last one. I got myself some water. I hope we can get through 3 chapters, actually. Because there's only 3 chapters left to read at the moment. But I am going to explain this. This is going back and forth between our 2 protagonists. We have Meadow, who is my first ever trans character, which that fact isn't really important. Him being trans isn't that important. But it is true. But that is a true fact. That's a fact about the main character. We have Meadow, who is a Phoenix. A Phoenix is just an elf with wings. Know what an elf looks like? With white hair? Add wings. And make it very green-eyed. That's Meadow. He's tall. He's tall, he's fit, and he's thin. He built like a toothpick. It's just how he's built, man. And then we have then we have Lawrence. Now, you guys are about to meet Prince Lawrence. You guys know Meadow. You kind of learned it from the first chapter. But now you get to know Prince Lawrence, who isn't as stupid, but is absolutely, utterly terrified. So that's where we're going to be on next. But before that, I'm going to chat a bit, because I don't feel like reading. Just yet. Just yet. I'm going to read, but not just yet. I did want to discuss something because it's on my mind and it's making me self-furious if you are not a Genshin person. This is about Genshin. Let me just say this right now. This is without any spoilers. Genshin just fucked with my mind. And now I have theories running everywhere. And I also, my favorite character, or my least favorite character, might drown. That is all I have to say. My favorite character might be drowning right now. Genshin Impact confused the hell out of me with their latest thing and actually ended well. I thought that the entire Archon quest was quite boring up until the last part. That is all I have to say. That's it. It fucked with my mind, man. I have theories running everywhere. Anyways, now we'll go to reading. I just need to mention that. All right. Chapter 2! Now, I'm going to be honest, the quote here doesn't make sense for this chapter, but we are meeting Lawrence. Little facts about Lawrence before we hop into meeting him. Lawrence is the son of the king who caused the issue. And not only is he the son of the king who caused the issue, he is also a future king. Now, here's some facts that you're going to learn later that I probably shouldn't share, but I'm going to. There is one important thing to know about Lawrence. He is a brother. And nobody in the kingdom knows that. And nobody outside the kingdom knows that. So, he's a brother. He has a little sister who is a bastard child, as it would be called in the times that I'm basing this off of. And due to her being a bastard child, she is not known by she's not known by almost anyone. So she's locked up in her room all the time. And this little girl has never seen daylight a day in her life. But I'm bringing that up just because, like, yeah, it could be a surprise later on. But also, you decided to listen to my reading. If I spoil stuff or I mention things before they happen, it is because I am ADHD. Anyways, I'm going to take a good swig of water and then we will begin. Oh god, I hate reading. Also, do know I don't read in like any character voices unless it's a deadpan voice, because most of the time there's only one character I will read in a character voice, and that's just because I know how he sounds. Also, my mouth has been dry all day. So, I'm dehydrated today, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure I'm dehydrated. You know, it's fine. The life of a gamer. Anyways. Alright. So now we are going to switch the music playlist. Hold on. Always just a dream. Let's listen to the playlist. And specifically, let's listen to the music I have that's instrumental for this playlist. That is what we're going to listen to. This is by... How do you say his name? How the fuck you say this person's name? Adrian von Ziegler. I don't know if I said that correctly. I believe he is a Irish person who makes a bunch of Celtic music. Anyways, I'm stalling. I'm stalling. I don't know why. I feel embarrassed when I read out loud, bro. But yeah, do know that while I am reading, it's not gonna sound like I'm gonna read it a way that's like fast, but not. So, Lawrence. I'm gonna describe Lawrence before I actually describe Lawrence in the story. Lawrence has curly hair. Technically, it's fluffy when it's brushed out, but it is curly hair. He has very curly brown hair. He is short king, legit short king. He is 5'5", I believe. 5'5" or 5'6". I think it's 5'5". Yeah, 5'5". He is 5'5", which is kind of short, especially for a guy. So, short lad, tall lad. I get it. You guys could ship them. You guys are allowed to ship them. Just as long as you don't expect anything from me, I'm fine with that. Just don't expect anything from me, all right? Anyways. God, I am stalling so hard right now. Chapter 2. A one-sided story is not the full story. Now, again, I don't think this quote matches too well. Also, I need to edit this goddamn quote because I just noticed something, and also I'm not in reading mode. I'm not in reading mode. I just realized I'm not in the reading mode. Hold up. I'm so dumb. I'm so dumb. We don't want to be in editing mode, even though I do need to edit that. Reading mode. There we go. That's better. That's better. Now I won't click on things randomly. Also, if you guys see anything highlighted in green, that is my favorite part. Now, reminder. Lawrence was just kidnapped by a race that he has perceived to be an evil monster that would torment him if they ever got their hands on him and would never be nice to them and would hate him. Very important. Anyways, Lawrence woke up gasping for air. And again, if my reading doesn't sound like a proper reading, well, get over it. Sorry. Oh my god. Anyways, woke up gasping for air. His heart racing as he sat up quickly, putting his face into his hands, calming his breathing. So panic attack, panic attack, panic attack. It's just a bad dream. It's just a bad dream, he mumbled to himself as his breathing became slower. It's fine. It's fine. Oh, hello. Welcome in. We are reading my book. This is my writing. If there are errors in the spelling, I'll fix it while I read it. I'll go back and fix all this later, because I am seeing errors after reading just the first chapter. Dude, I'm a writer who can't do English well. God, I got distracted. Anyways. He mumbled to himself as his breathing became slower. It's fine, he told himself before letting his hands drop. Once his eyes adjusted to the light, his panic began resurfacing. He just calmed himself down. Because the soft sheets he was looking at weren't his regular blue sheets. No. Sorry, that's me adding to it. I do this a lot. Instead, he was staring at a soft fur blanket. This was not the castle or his room, and that could only mean one thing. No, he whispers, fear ran down his spine. This guy's terrified, dude. He's terrified. Like, imagine getting kidnapped by something that you think would kill you. I think I'd be freaking out like this as well. Bro. Just quickly, Lawrence moved. He got up off of the makeshift bed he was sleeping on and looked frantically around. There's supposed to be an around there. Looked frantically around, getting an idea of his environment. He was in a cell that was easy to see as thick wood bars stood near what looked like a light source. The walls were white stone, like white stone. And the floor was wood with moss over it. The makeshift bed was a bit shorter compared to the bed in the castle. It was covered in a soft cloth and fur blanket. More than likely was supposed to be the covers. That was more than likely supposed to be the covers. And next to the bed sat his shoes and cape. So his nice, fluffy, beautiful, warm cape. That's all I have to say. I like his cape. I like his orange cape. His orange cape is... I like the description I gave of it. He grabbed onto the bars. Bro, I can't spell, dude. I can't write. Why am I writing? And looked at the dungeon he was in. Now, for an idea, this guy's in a really nice place. And he thinks he's gonna die. The walls were the same uneven white stone with glass windows letting light in. The floors were the same. And the way they were uneven. The floors were also uneven, basically. To his right was a short hallway, seeing as he could see the end despite the wall between each cell, and to his left, a little bit longer of a hall that he could barely see at the end of, that had stairs that seemed like they headed up. Lawrence was going to start yelling, but froze when he heard the sound of a wood door slowly opening with a creak. This man thinks he's about to die. No. He mumbled, stumbling back, pulling himself into a corner, putting his legs close to him. This guy's terrified. He is terrified. He's scared. He's having almost a panic attack. The sound of walking started to fill the cell. That's feel, not fill. I spelt it wrong. Don't mind me. I'm gonna get angry at myself for spelling. And Lawrence watched as strands of braided white hair came from the left. A familiar face poked their head in. Two bright green eyes meeting his. Now, this is a funny part to write. I like this part. It was that girl from earlier, the one that had brought him here. However, when the Phoenix stepped fully out, he realized that this wasn't a girl. That's right. She catfished you. Sorry. I thought that'd be fun. Oh my god. Yeah, it's a dude. It wasn't a girl. This was definitely a man. He had long white hair with two braids in the front, emerald bright green eyes and tanned skin. He wore an off-white shirt that hung off his shoulders with long sleeves, black waist corset, and a belt that held his sword, black pants and boots. This man looking all professional with his lovely little corset. I like him. I think he's pretty. He's a pretty man. He's a handsome man. Yes. Though I feel elves are all, like, pretty. No matter the gender. I think elves are just pretty. His wings were even more massive now they seemed to be lowered as the man stood with a hand behind his back, which terrified Lawrence. But he didn't want the Phoenix to know that. So he turned his fear into anger as he glared at the Phoenix. This guy mad. Again, if my reading is annoying to you, I do apologize. I know that I am very when I read. I don't know how to explain that. Anyways, I'm gonna try and do a voice for Meadow, but I can't really do one. But oh yeah, I kind of ruined that ball for you. Sorry about that. It wasn't just a ball, it was his birthday, you dumbass. Anyways. I'm gonna laugh at myself a lot. The Phoenix said, rubbing the back of his head as he sat down in front of the cell and pulled out a plate with a mix of wild berries on it. On one side, and some type of berry cake on the other. Ooh, nice berry cake. Yum, 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 yum. We had to make sure we got the berries that wouldn't harm you. So a lot of these I don't really eat besides the fora berry, which the fora berry is like kind of like a, how do you explain it? It's kind of like a blackberry, like blackberry, like actual blackberry, not like blue, like an actual blackberry. I'm pretty sure it was either that or yellow. I don't remember how I explained it, but you know. It is technically the same because the cook had to substitute the berry for a berry that wouldn't harm you. As the Phoenix explained this, all Lawrence could do was stare at him, completely confused. This man thought he was gonna die. It makes sense he's completely, utterly confused on why the hell the Phoenix was just sitting there and talking to Lawrence like they knew each other. And that this was a casual conversation. Yes. The hell? Lawrence said, catching the Phoenix's full attention. What are you doing? Lawrence asked, confused. Oh, yeah, you're right. Sorry. My name is Meadow. I'm gonna be taking care of you while you're here. Mainly because I was stupid and messed up with the Queen's original plan. Really sorry about everything in this. He gestured to the cell. Sorry. Lawrence asked, fueling his words with anger. Sorry, you really think I will accept an apology from some manipulative monster? Now, here's the thing. He's not a manipulative monster. He's a sweetheart. That took me from my family in front of the whole kingdom. On my birthday, nonetheless, Lawrence shouted, and the phoenix sat and sighed softly. Listen, I know I messed up. I should not have taken you like that. I should have just dropped you and flew. I know that's what I should have done. He paused and looked away. I know now that's what I should have done. Yeah, that's what he should have done, bro. He's so stupid and I write him that way. Yeah, he said. Lawrence was confused why he was being so nice. Phoenixes never apologize and are never this nice, says the man who's never met a phoenix, but we will ride past that. Yeah, you should have, Lawrence shouted, looking away from the phoenix, disgusted. Okay, this is my favorite interaction. There's a reason why this is highlighted in green. Listen, Lawrence, that's Prince Lawrence to you, phoenix scum, he corrected. Lawrence, Meadow continued as Lawrence scoffed. Yes, he continues talking. I understand you're scared and all. I'm not scared of your kind, he shouted. This boy is terrified. Meadow raised an eyebrow at him. Yes, Meadow said as he rested his head in his hand, propping his arm on his knee. Everyone knows that if someone is cowering in a corner, they are oh so brave and not scared by anything that is said to be a killing monster. He mocked. I love that. I love the scene. Lawrence immediately let go of his legs and stood up, taking a few steps forward. I said, I'm not scared, he growled as Meadow looked up at him. A stupid smirk that basically said, yeah, right. After a moment, though, the smirk disappeared and was replaced with a confused look on his face. I love this part. I love this part. I love this part. It's so funny. Your hair is curly. Your hair is curly? Arguing. He was just yelling. And he goes, your hair is curly? He asked, catching Lawrence off guard. I love this part. I love this part. What? Lawrence asked, reaching up to pull down a strand of his hair. I assume you get most of your looks from your mother, huh? Meadow asked. Lawrence glared at him actually about to get mad now, because what right did this idiot have to talk about his mom? Not like I tell you, he bit out. Yes. Meadow nodded as he looked down, grabbing one of the berries and tossing it into his mouth. The queen says I got my eyes and slim build from my mother, and my white hair, skin, and wings resemble my father, he said once again, making Lawrence confused. This man just starts going in regular conversations. Yeah, bro, he's not gonna hurt you, dumbass. I'm gonna call both of them dumbasses, but that's just how I am. Lawrence expected he was going to be tormented, but this dumbass phoenix was just making casual conversation. Why are you telling me that? Asked, his voice coming a bit more calm as the phoenix looked back up at him. Listen, because of my stupid mistake, you're gonna be stuck here a couple weeks, and I am your guard, and in charge of you, and in charge of guarding you. And I already feel bad enough, and I know I can't take back anything, or I can't take anything back now. I am just trying to make small talk, that is all, and I just happened to notice that you and your father have very little resemblance to one another, besides your eyes and body build. I was just kind of wondering if you got most of your features from your mom, but I didn't think that would upset you. Anyways, here, eat. I love this part, bro. I love this part so much. These two interacting, the first interaction, mwah. It's hilarious. I love it. It makes me laugh. Meadows said, seeming to mumble something under his breath before he phased the food through the bars, and Lawrence jumped back. Sleep is a rather complicated spell, and like similar spells that affect the mind in some way, it can take a toll on on the body. And for me, food always helps if I ever use a spell like that on myself, he explained, sitting the food on the floor. Yeah, bro. Lawrence stared at the berries and cake, and he had to admit it looked good. He was about to reach for one, but stopped and backed away from it, remembering where he was and what sat in front of him. You're going to notice he calls, in the beginning, he very much says that Meadow, really much refers to Meadow as an it. It is because he looks down upon him, even though he knows this, even though he's afraid this thing could kill him, he still looks down upon him. So that is the reasoning for that. Also, I just noticed something. Hold on, something's bothering me. We good now? Okay, there we go. Sorry, something was bothering me on the screen. Don't mind me. Anyways, we continue. Backed away from it, remembering where he was and what sat in front of him. I am not eating any food you give me, Lawrence said, sitting down on the bed, pulling his legs close to him, looking down, not wanting to even look at the Phoenix. You know, Meadows started, his voice a bit less joking and light. I have no reason to hurt you, and I don't want to harm you, or I don't want to harm your people, or even your father, though he is the reason for us being nearly demolished and losing our loved ones. All we want is peace. Lawrence snapped his head up and glaring at Meadow, and about to yell, but then he saw his expression. Meadow was looking down, seemed almost mournful. My father was only doing what he thought was the best to protect the humans from your kind. You who are monsters and went on a rampage and killed after the former king died. Tell me, Lawrence, have you ever stepped foot outside of your castle or kingdom? Meadow asked, looking up with his sad eyes meeting Lawrence's. Yes, I have, once before, Lawrence said, certain on the fact because last birthday he was taken outside the castle to meet his subjects. You only met him once. Sorry. You've only been outside once. Tell me, why are there tens of thousands of humans alive and breathing, not scared by the horrors of losing their loved ones to a Phoenix? Yet there are only 70 Phoenixes left who live their lives terrified that one day they're going to wake up to their parents, siblings, friends, and their parents, siblings, and friends will be dead beside them. Can you explain that to me, Lawrence? Meadow asked, and Lawrence had no idea what to say to that. Meadow looked so genuine when he said that, his eyes having somewhat hopeful shine in them. The Phoenixes did this to themselves. If you hadn't let the former king die and didn't attack and burn those innocent villages, that wouldn't be the case, Lawrence argued, watched Meadow's face become a mix of confusion and concern. So that's what he told people, Meadow said, looking away from Lawrence. Yeah, and there's proof on the east side of the forest. Dumbass. Lawrence explained. Meadow's eyes widened as he slowly looked at Lawrence with a shocked expression. Are you talking about the village on the border of the forest and the kingdom? He asked before looking down again. Yeah, the village had done nothing to you. That was a Phoenix village. Ayo? That's a Phoenix? Ayo? King Light, ayo. Sorry. I hope you guys don't mind my reading. I'm gonna apologize over and over again for my reading, guys. I feel bad when I read the way I do because I don't know. Meadow's words made Lawrence's eyes widen. I mean, it had a few humans living there, yes, but that was our first village to fall. Meadow had such a genuine, heartbroken expression, and Lawrence kind of wanted to believe him, but he snapped that thought away because that's what they wanted him to believe. Totally. My dad would never harm someone if they didn't harm someone else first, Lawrence shouted. Meadow looked at Lawrence almost like he was hurt before shaking his head and smirking. Even though the smirk wasn't the same cockiness he had earlier, it was more of a sad smirk as he sighed. Sorry, didn't want to upset you, he said, changing his demeanor, replacing that smirk with a smile, raising an eyebrow. So, no food? Meadow asked, pointing at the plate now in Lawrence's cell. Lawrence had never wanted to reach over and slap someone more in his life. God, I love Lawrence. I love Lawrence, bro. He's funny. He's funny. I need water. My throat hurts. Already? God damn it. God damn it. Anyways, this Phoenix is frustrating, he thought as he crossed his arms, sitting up straighter. No, you more than likely poisoned it, he said, looking away. I love these two. Instead of the Phoenix getting mad, he started to laugh, making Lawrence snap his head back up to see him laughing. If I wanted to poison you, little prince, I would have just brought you our food we regularly eat. Plus, I ate one of those right in front of you, he said, leaning back on his hands, his wings moving around his crossed legs. You're supposed to be a guard, Lawrence asked. You're supposed to be a guard, Lawrence asked rudely. Guilty as charged, he said with a cocky smile returning to his face. Meadow. What kind of guard sits on his job? Lawrence asked. If you're this lazy on the job, you should not be a guard. Guards would have already tortured me for information. What kind of guard are you? He challenged, making the smirk become a small smile. I am a guard who only protects and fights when needed. So basically he protects, but he fights if needed, Meadow said sweetly. Like you'd protect me, Lawrence scoffed. Meadow moved his large brown wings in front of him, showing some small glass shards, and blood rusting his feathers into a dark red color. Look at yourself. Look at my wings, he said, confusing Lawrence. What? I broke out a window taking you, Meadow said, confusing Lawrence. Okay, Lawrence questioned. Do you see a single scar, cut, blood, or shard anywhere on you? Meadow asked. Lawrence did a quick scan over his arms, legs, and chest, looking for that, but he saw nothing. In fact, Lawrence wasn't even dirty at all. His white shirt was spotless. His pants had some dirt at the bottom. Ripped. Did I say that right? Dirt at the bottom, never mind, I read that wrong. His pants had some dirt at the very end of them. His shoes had small specks here and there. But overall, by the way, he's looking over at his shoes. I forgot he doesn't have his shoes on. I need to rewrite that. It's fine. Had nothing ripped. nothing covered in dirt, and most importantly, he didn't have any bruises, blood, glass, or anything on him to indicate that he was hurt or dragged. He seemed to stare in some kind of shock, but as soon as he realized he had been staring at himself for a long moment, he immediately recoiled. "What does that matter?" Lawrence shouted. "You aren't hurt. I haven't tried to hurt you in any way, and I made sure to keep you safe from the glass. So, that should show that I am willing to protect you, whether you're a human or not. He's a good guard. He's a good boy. Meadow is a good boy. Meadow is a good boy." Don't mind me. Meadow declared with a kind smile. Lawrence huffed and laid down on the bed, rolling over, so his back was to this idiot guard, not wanting to even entertain the idea that a phoenix would do such a small thing of keeping glass from hurting him, because it made no sense. His father's, I said feathers. I just called his father feathers. His father's warnings about them couldn't be a lie. If that was a lie, then what else would Dad lie about? Lawrence heard a voice in the back of his head, immediately shook his head, clasping his hands around the back of his neck, feeling tears begin to spill over because he hated this so damn much. There is no way, he told himself. He would never lie. Totally. Your father is the sweetest person alive. He would never lie. He's a good dad. Fuck your father. I don't like him. Anyways. I know more about the father than I do a lot. I know a lot about the father that will never be discovered. And I just... God, I made him hateful as... You guys would hate his father. Or you will hate his father once you meet him. So... My father is a good man, a good king. He wouldn't lie about something unless it was to protect the kingdom. And lying about this wouldn't do any good for the kingdom. So it's impossible, he said to that voice in his head. Lawrence, Meadow asked, sounding concerned. Lawrence ignored the phoenix, not wanting to talk to this mind twister anymore. I like the idea of mind twister. All he wants is to shake my loyalty to my dad, he told himself. That has to be it. So maybe if I stay quiet, then the phoenix would just leave me alone and stop talking. No. The phoenix Meadow didn't, in fact, stop talking. Instead, once Lawrence stopped talking, Meadow just began to share things about his day, about how his day was going today, and what he planned to do for tomorrow. And then he moved on to some story about some girl. Lawrence tried to ignore it to the best of his ability, but he could tell that this was gonna be the longest, most infuriating few weeks of his life. More like the most emotionally struggling weeks of his entire life. Anyways. Okay. I'm gonna talk before we get to this chapter. I love this chapter. This is, to me, my favorite chapter I have written in the entire book is this chapter. Now you may be wondering why. Well, this chapter is more of Meadow and Lawrence, which, if you like Meadow and Lawrence like I do, yeah, you'll enjoy it. But it's more than that. This chapter has physics in it. It has who I will continue to call Fiery Mama. Fiery Mummy. It has Fiery Leafy Mummy. Giant S Leafy Mummy. I'll call her that. Because damn, I love this character so much. I love her design. I love everything about her. Phoenix, I don't care. She's not important to the story. She's still in it some way. And I love this chapter for it. This chapter is also very funny, very lighthearted after like the situation that's come out. And it's a funny ass chapter. And it's called, ironically, it's called Don't Bite the Hand That Feeds You. Oh my god. I'm not even gonna prepare anyone. I'm gonna take another drink of water. And prepare to read. And then after this, we're gonna go back to just chatting. I don't know what we're gonna chat about, but might be the book, might not be. And I'm gonna upload this. I'm also gonna restart the stream. That way I just have it split up and I don't have to split it. Water. Hydration. Anyways. Meadow expected the prince to refuse food, but not to refuse it for 2 whole days. Don't mind me. The prince was a stubborn bastard and ignored Meadow for any time. He even tried to chat with him. Meadow hated it, but was more worried at this point because that long without food after he had that sleep spell casted on him, it more than likely wasn't easy on his body for Lawrence to continue to refuse food. Meadow wanted to say something, and well, Meadow never kept his thoughts to himself. All right. I love this part. Ugh. Meh. Anyways. All right, Meadow shouted as he walked in front of the cell, his wings puffing out as he watched Lawrence nearly jump from his spot on the bed, looking at Meadow, annoyed as Meadow squatted down and pointed at Lawrence seriously. What is it going to take to get you to eat? Besides letting you go, but because I can't exactly do that, Meadow asked, dropping the pointed finger. Lawrence narrowed his eyes on Meadow. I am not eating anything you have to offer, Lawrence said with an emphasis on you, on the you part. Yo, hi, welcome in. We are currently reading my book. We are on chapter 3. So far, what has happened is a prince was kidnapped by a race of people that he thinks is terrifying and could kill him. We currently just got the two of them interacting just now with him in the cell, with the prince in the cell, and talking to this guy, and he's very annoyed with Meadow, who is a very sweetheart. He's a sweetheart. And right now, he's asking if he'll eat something, because he has not eaten for 2 whole days. And this is the funny chapter. So you got here just in time for the good one. This is the good chapter. Out of all the chapters I've written so far, this is a good chapter. I just got a dumb story quiz, so this should fit the mood. Great. I see. Yeah, it should. We're reading the story. Yeah. After this chapter, we're going to call it good, because I am not going to be able to read more than 2 chapters, and we already read 1, so yeah. Anyways, Meadow let out a long sigh. If you keep at this, you will die. It's only been 2 days, but you know, Meadow's Meadow. And I don't think either of us want that, Meadow explained, giving Lawrence a look of genuine concern. Why does it say concerned? It's genuine concern. Why can't I write? Anyways, I will only accept food from my castle, and even then, I wouldn't do it until you ate it first, Lawrence said, crossing his arms, looking away from Meadow. Meadow sighed once again. I ate the fruit in front of you already. I be reading my story, so I can answer these questions. Lol. Be here though. Alright, enjoy. Background noise. I ate the fruit in front of you already, Meadow said, flinging his hands down and heavily gesturing to the plate of fresh fruit. Yeah, but that Lawrence shouted, pointing at the plate, is not food from my castle, so I won't even try it, especially with the fact that I don't even know half of the fruits on it. This is my favorite part. This is such a funny part. Not even my heart part that's highlighted, but this is so funny. Meadow was about to start arguing, but then an idea started to form in his head. And it was genius, at least in Meadow's opinion, at least in Meadow's head. Fine. You want food from your castle? Fine. What do you want then? Acting as frustrated as possible, Meadow said, acting as frustrated as possible. I can't read, but I'm doing it for you guys. You can't get any human food, even if you wanted to. The guards are probably swarming the place, watching for your people, Lawrence said, looking at Meadow with fury in his eyes. Oh, you think I can't be a little prince? You think I can't do that, little prince, is what I feel he should say here. I could march right into a human village right now and bring back any human food I wanted. I'm going to read this with so much emphasis because I like this part so much. Meadow shouted, his wings lifting up and puffing out more, almost in a defensive way. Yeah, right, your disguise spells might be good, but they aren't that good, Lawrence shouted back. A smug smirk began to spread across Meadow's face. Wanna bet? What to bet? I love this part. Meadow said his wings were still up and puffed out. Bet for what? I bet for what? Lawrence asked. His voice was not as loud as before, but still filled with anger. How about this? I would get you any human food you want straight from your kingdom. And if I do it successfully, you will eat the food. And if I don't, he pointed, he put a chin on his finger, put a finger on his chin and thought, well, you won't have to deal with me anymore. If I fail, and more than likely, if I fail, then more than likely, I'll be dead. Meadow shrugged, crossing his arms. Though that would be impossible. Lawrence snapped back quickly, cutting Meadow off. At least when you do fail, I won't have to deal with your mouth anymore. Yeah. He said, groaning, as he still looked to the side in anger, his arms crossed. Ha ha ha! What would you like me to bring you, your highness? Meadow said in a mocking, childish tone. It doesn't matter. You won't be able to get anything. Lawrence huffed in anger, and Meadow laughed confidently, putting his hands on his hips. Oh, this man. Bro, I love Meadow, bro. He makes me laugh. I love him and hate him at the same time. He's stupid, but he's funny. We'll see about that, Meadow shouted and turned on his heel, heading up the hall to the stairs, not giving Lawrence the chance to reply as he ran up the stairs and walked into the guard room. Okay, this is my fun part. Now, Meadow wasn't stupid. He knew for a fact that marching into a village was a death wish. But he also knew that the prince would agree. To the bets, just so he could be proven correct. And Meadow had a plan. Out near the outskirts of the large canopy of branches branches and leaves that covered the kingdom village, sat a well-sized house. It's a small house. That belonged to his friend Lotus. Now you guys get to meet Lotus. Now I'm going to warn you, there's a lot of cussing here, because that's Lotus for you. Lotus is based off of my friends. Lotus is based off of one of my friends. I'm not going to say who, but they're based off one of my friends and one of my admins. Yes. Lotus was Meadow's only real friend, and and the thing about her was she was absolutely obsessed with human food. She loves it. She had recipes upon recipes scattered throughout her home, Lotus's family were cooks way before the war, their specialty being recreating human food. And even though Lotus hated human food, after she learned after her parents passed away. I'm going to say this in my way. After her parents passed away, she learned. After her parents passed away, she learned. Oh my god. After. I wrote this so badly. What the fuck? After the parents learned. Her parents died in a village and she wanted to cook for them. Alright, I'm skipping that. She clung to what her mom and dad loved and began to figure out how to make human food for herself. So basically, parents died and she wants to make it for them, and now she knows a lot of stuff. She mainly only shared her creations with Meadow because she felt Meadow was the only one who wouldn't judge her for making food the same as the ones who tore apart the Phoenix race. And that's why Meadow was standing right at her door, rapidly knocking while waiting for her to open the door. I love this part so much. You'll notice all the green parts that are highlighted are always interactions. They're always interactions because I love them. I love them so much. The door swung open very quickly, making Meadow jump back. What in the endless void are you doing? Lotus shouted, her purple eyes wild with confusion. She got such pretty eyes. She's so pretty. She's so pretty. Don't mind me. I like describing women. I like pretty women. I may be Airways, but I love me some pretty women. Anyways. Meadow assumed she had been working on a new recipe, seeing as her curly black hair was pushed back by a few branches. Her regularly black-brown flowy dress was covered in what looked like nairberry juice, the yellow probably staining the white flowers at the bottom of her dress, so she very flowery girl. Also, strangely, she looked and actually sounded angry. And Meadow wasn't sure why, because he had knocked like this many times before, and she never got mad at him before. You are supposed to be on guard, Meadow, she shouted, cutting him off, and Meadow's arms began to... Okay, this is another thing of small details I love. This part, him getting nervous when someone gets mad at him. You'll notice he does this a lot, and I love writing these little mannerisms. Anyways, Meadow's arms began to swing back and forth at his side. Well, Lotus cut him off, moving a hand up to silence him. Did you, or did you not, tell Thorn? She asked simply, Meadow's eyes widening, causing her to sigh deeply. Knew it. I knew it. Wait. I promise you, this is very urgent and important, Meadow yelled, waving his hands back and forth in front of her, shaking his head. What could possibly be more important? I need you to make human food, he said, cutting her off. Lotus raised an eyebrow. Why would that be more important? She asked calmly this time. Meadow sighed. The prince refuses to eat anything, he complained. I made a bet with him to get him to eat, and I need you to please make the fanciest human dish you know, because he said he wouldn't eat it if it wasn't human food, and I can't exactly walk into a town. Calm your shit, Lotus said with a sigh. You are walking your ass all the way back to the guardhouse, and I am going to make a dish and bring it to you. Understand? She asked with a glare. Yes, ma'am. I love that reaction. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, okay, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'll do it. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. I did not mean to make you angry. Yes, ma'am. All right, then. Go, she commanded, pointing in the direction he came. Please just make sure it's You think I don't know how to make edible food for humans? She asked, cutting him off with a judgmental stare. Meadow held up his hands in surrender. Sorry, Meadow panicked as he dropped his hands and started walking quickly backwards. Just bring it to me on one of the nice plates, he yelled, turning around and running back to the guardhouse quickly. Now, you'll notice I didn't explain much about the place he's in, about where he was walking, and that's because my brain could not think of anything at the time, and I was like, fuck it, I'm not going to write it. But I will explain what this looks like more in detail in one of the chapters I'm writing right now, actually. It's one of the chapters that is not out yet, or not written yet. None of these chapters are out yet, by the way. If you guys are wanting to read this book on your own, it's not published anywhere. And if you've seen the amount of mess ups I have made with just reading this because I can't write, you understand now why it is not. So, yeah. Meadow sat down next to the door that led down to the cells and waited for a good long while, staring at the open archway into the guard's house. After a bit, he saw familiar curls as Lotus peeked inside, her purple eyes meeting Meadow's before she quickly walked in. She was holding a plate with some kind of brown bread. He thinks he remembers it being called chocolate something. She shoved the plate into his hands, making him lean closer into the wall behind him, and crossed her arms. You're lucky we're friends. Now, never leave your shift without telling Thorn again, Lotus shouted, stomping her right foot like a bunny. She got angry like a bunny going bump, a bunny going stomp, an angry little bunny. I'm sorry, I love explaining it that way. Annoyed as Meadow jumped. Hush, Meadow whispered, shouting, pointing to the door. Who made you so aggressive today? He was kind of scared of her yelling. Just tell Thorn if you go on break, Lotus said kindly, and she leaned down and patted Meadow's head. I love this part. Just let him be that pat, like he was a wild animal. Now, you have fun tricking that human, she sang as she left. Meadow rolled his eyes as he stood and began to cast a spell to make it look like it had a cover over it, and then headed down to the cells. That's not cells, it's supposed to be cells with C, not with S. Okay. And also, welcome in. We're reading currently. We are on the 3rd chapter. This guy wasn't eating, so he tricked him into eating, and that's where we're at right now. He's about to trick him into eating. Anyways. I'm back, Meadow announced as he walked over in front of Lawrence's cell, unveiling the food quickly, phasing it through the bars and sitting it on the ground. I didn't write that part, but I'm going to read that part. Lawrence was in the corner of the bed, looked up, his eyes widening as he saw food. How in the hell? I did it. Now you have to eat, Meadow declared. Lawrence glared at Meadow. I'm not... So, let me get this straight, Meadow said, cutting off Lawrence again. Not only are you a coward, you are also a person who doesn't stick to their word, I love that he's just purposely insulting him. Meadow hummed in a questioning tone as he crossed his arms, smirking. Lawrence got up, standing from the bed. I am no coward. I always stick to my word, he shouted, walking quickly over to the bars, pointing at Meadow. Meadow sat down and patted the spot in front of him. All right, prove it then. Eat like you said you would. I love this part. It's so funny. He said with a smug smirk on his face and clearly made Lawrence mad. Meadow had expected him to start yelling, but to his surprise, Lawrence sat down and grabbed the plate and took a small nibble out of it. He forgot that he was so, like, this is actually on purpose. This isn't a plot hole. He completely forgot that he said as long as you ate it first, I'd eat it. He just went ahead and ate it. He's tired of this. He's annoyed. This guy made him pissed. He's just gonna do it. But to his surprise, Lawrence sat down, grabbed the plate, and took a very small nibble off of the cake. And then dropped it back on the plate and glared at Meadow with his angry copper eyes. Meadow laughed, his wings puffing slightly. I love explaining his wings. As he put a hand to his stomach. You didn't even take a proper bite, Meadow said with a slight wheeze as he wrapped his wings around his legs while pulling his knees to his chest. And he smiled, looking at Lawrence, who looked like he was about to start screaming. Do you feel sick in any way? Meadow asked, resting his head on his wings that covered his legs. It was very clear the prince was caught off guard by that question, with the way his eyebrows furrowed. No, he replied, sounding like he was questioning himself on that answer. Meadow smiled, not smugly and not in a mocking way. He genuinely smiled. So it's safe to eat. He gestured to the plate next to Lawrence. Lawrence looked down, stared at the plate with clear confusion in his expression. Just enjoy it. You haven't had food in days, Meadow said as he pulled a leather pouch from pulled out a leather water pouch from next to the cell and tossed it in. Also, please drink some water, Meadow said, wrapping his arms around his knees. And while he's wrapping his arms around his knees, he has his wings covering his whole body, basically, right now. Just to explain that a little better. Meadow watched as Lawrence looked at the pouch and bread. I love that. I love that Meadow keeps calling chocolate cake bread. He keeps calling chocolate cake bread. It's great. Lawrence then released a long, tired sigh. You're not going to stop annoying me until I eat, are you? Lawrence asked in a mumble, looking from under his curly mess that was falling over his face. Curly, messy hair that was falling over his face with an unreadable expression. The smugness slowly crept back into his smile. Exactly, Meadow stated proudly. Lawrence looked back down, and as he adjusted his sitting position to where his legs were crossed, he picked up the soft bread and slowly began to eat it. After he finished eating the slice, he went back to the bed, sitting down, pulling his knees close to his chest, holding his legs, looking away from Meadow. Was it good? Meadow asked as he rested his hands and his elbows on his wings that rested on his knees. Yep. It was human food, so it was fine, the prince said tiredly. My friend will be happy to hear that. She worked hard on making that for you, Meadow said sweetly. I love that. Lawrence stiffened immediately, rolling his head around to meet Meadow's eyes. To meet Meadow's eyes widened, turned around to Meadow. Eyes widened. There we go. What? He asked, and Meadow sighed, giving him a smug smile. I might be an idiot, but I am not stupid enough to go into a human city after kidnapping the prince. Not that I would be able to leave anyways, Meadow said, shrugging his shoulders. Meadow then immediately regretted telling him because it looked like the prince was about to panic. Uh-oh. Wait, I didn't poison it, I promise, he said, sitting up, his wings spreading out behind him as he held up his hands. I didn't want you starving yourself, and the only way I could think to get you to eat was by tricking you, he explained quickly. Lawrence's eyes furrowed. Why? Wouldn't I read this wrong. By tricking. Why? Wouldn't killing the king... This is meant to say the king, not his. Why? Wouldn't killing his son, or killing the king's son, be the best way for you to hurt my dad? He asked, genuinely confused. Meadow's face heavily shifted. Him over here. He thinks he's gonna die to hurt his dad. No, they're not gonna hurt you, buddy. Heavily shifted as Lawrence asked that, his lips turned down in sadness because Meadow couldn't believe that humans could think they were so cruel. Meadow leaned back, pulling his legs to himself, slowly wrapping his wings around him, looking away from Lawrence. No, killing you would devastate your father and only fuel his raging flames, he said quietly. Plus, me and every Phoenix in our guard ship. They call it guards, in the army. Their army is called guardship in Phoenix culture. Just making that clear. would never take the life of someone's family. All of us Phoenixes know what it's like to lose someone you love. Memories of his mother telling him to run if he had no other choice flashed in his head. We would never take someone's family. Meadow looked up, meeting Lawrence's eyes with a genuine saddened expression. Especially me, Lawrence. Meadow stood and bowed. Good night, Lawrence. With that, took his leave. Okay. We're getting into my favorite parts. We are going to meet her. Everyone gets to meet the goddess. We're meeting the goddess. We're meeting Mama. The only character I have that I did not mean to do that. Whoops. I just pinned something on accident. How do I unpin? I just accidentally pinned something. What? Okay. I clicked on something and I pinned a comment. I don't know what I did. The fuck? Sorry, I got distracted. Either way, we're about to meet the only character I've ever written where I will call them Mommy. Sorry. Because I love her so much. I love her. She's so sweet, so pretty. Now, let's continue so you guys can meet Phoenix. As soon as Meadow was heading out of the guardhouse, he saw Thorn. Thorn, I'm glad you're here. I'm ready to be off, he groaned dramatically. Thorn narrowed his eyes. What did you do? That human is very stubborn, Meadow said, cutting off Thorn's question, patting him on the shoulder as he walked out the archway. Anyways, I'd love to stay and chat, but I am hanging out with Lotus tonight, he said, a big smile on his face as he turned and waved at Thorn. As he waved at Thorn, Meadow turned and walked quickly towards Lotus's house, feeling eyes staring at the back of his head. Yeah, he definitely could have handled that better. Yeah, you think, bro? Meadow began the rapid knock, so yeah, he's knocking again. And this time, the door wasn't opened to an angry Lotus, but to a less angry Lotus. Lotus had her hair down, not pushed back this time. As the small ringlets fell in front of her lavender eyes, and her light brown skin seemed a little darker than usual, which told him that after she made him the food, she began harvesting plants that grew around her home. Yes, 'cause dirt. She also had a clean gray dress on as she put her hand on her hip. You're off guard now? Lotus asked calmly. Yeah, I need to ask a favor, Meadow said, his hand swayed back and forth. Again, my favorite thing is to write these little mannerisms, little things he does naturally when he's nervous, when he's thinks he's gonna get in trouble, stuff like that. I like writing these. I don't know. Some people have these little mannerisms, little things where this is just how they are when they're nervous, and I like writing that. Meadow's hand swayed back and forth at his side, and he smiled sweetly. Lotus groaned and rolled her eyes. What? Oh, what? She said, holding out the A near the end. Meadow copied her slouch, and may or may not have crouched down a little, so he was a little more at her level. She is short. She's short, queen. Can you please make more human food for the prince? He asked sweetly. Lotus pushed Meadow, causing him to fumble back on his feet, not crouching anymore. Is this human really that spoiled? She asked, crossing her arms. Or are you trying to make up for tomfoolery you caused at the dance, which was his birthday party? Lotus tilted her head. He refused the food we offered every time, and he ate the food you made. And since we have someone who can make human food, why do we need to keep feeding him something he doesn't want? Meadow asked, crossing his arms. Lotus put her hands up and stepped back into her house, grabbing something, not even offering for Meadow to come in. You want me to make food for you? Out of my limited sources of human friendly ingredients. Fine, she shouted, coming back, handing him a basket. Gather everything on this list before tomorrow, and I might consider it. It is late at night right now for this dude, she said, pointing to the list in the basket with more than 10 things on it. Meadow groaned. Oh, come on, Lotus. At least guarantee that you'll make the food after doing your job, he complained. I'll consider it, she said stubbornly. Take it or leave it, she shrugged. Meadow's eyes narrowed at... hold on, I just noticed something. Hold on. Let me reset up my calibration for tracking. Okay, there we go. That's much better. I'm also going to take a drink now. Meadow's eyes narrowed at her as he sighed, reading the list. Wait! Wait, he shouted, rereading the berries, wheat, and phoenixes, and phoenix. That's how it's pronounced, phoenix. Forged wheat and phoenix only spawn during fall, he shouted, making Lotus shrug. Lotus, it's the beginning of spring. How do you expect me to get these? He asked, and she laughed. I don't, she shrugged. Lotus, this isn't even fair, he shouted. She rolled her eyes. Not fair for you. It's not fair for you to think I'm going to waste the few human and human-safe ingredients just because you asked, Lotus said, crossing her arms. I already used up the human flour on the cake, and it is very difficult to get. So, if you want me to waste my ingredients, then I want you to waste your time. To waste your time off, she explained. Meadow sighed, about to give up, then an idea appeared in his head. You know what? He shouted. I will get every ingredient on this list. And some flour, he said proudly. Don't you dare sneak into a human town, Lotus shouted quickly. Ha! That wasn't even close to my plan, he said smugly, smiling at her. What? Anyways, I'm off to get your ingredients, he yelled, and began to march in the direction out of the village. If you get your ass killed, I will destroy you, she threatened. Meadow waved her off. Yay, we're about to be Phoenix! Yay, we get information about Phoenix! My girl, my queen, my goddess. I love her. I love her so much. Don't mind me. Phoenix is a very important name in Phoenix culture. Phoenix is known as goddess of the land, plants, and life force of all beginnings in the woods. She is tucked far away, hidden by tall trees in the woods. Only a few phoenixes are allowed to see her. And though technically none of them are Meadow, he still visits some nights. Mainly the nights when he had a very, very horrible idea or something was bothering him. Even though he knows he could speak to her whenever he wants, he feels more comfortable at her roots, with the comforting warmth that flows from her burning leaves. The soothing voice that reminds him of the way his mom would talk to him. It was his favorite place to go. However, he wasn't here for comfort. So, and the first chapter, I think you guys met his first mom figure, and that is the queen, who he serves. This is his second mom figure. This is a goddess who he worships. She is a sweetheart. She comforts him. He goes there when he needs comfort. It's so cute and it's so awesome. This is the closest thing he has to his mother right now because he can communicate to his mother through Phoenix. So, this is like the closest thing he has to a mom right now. As Meadow swiftly and quietly moved through the trees, he saw a small light emitting through through the closest trees. Meadow landed and walked right through the tightly compact trees, seeing the large roots that twisted into a large trunk and made its way up, forming into branches that held her leaves of fire. He climbed onto her large root. Now she is giant. This is like a giant tree. Like, if you guys watched Avatar: The Last Airbender, this is as big as that one tree in that swamp episode. This is a giant tree. Walking to the trunk. Are you here to ask me to make the ingredients your friend requires? A soft, soothing voice asked sweetly. Hey, Phoenix, Meadow said, looking up at her leaves. And the wind as the wind blew leaves down and began to shape into a large outline of a phoenix with large wings. Now she is like, and in this form, she is like 10 feet tall. I'm making it clear. She's a giant woman. Wings, and sat at the base of the trunk. She reached out a hand and held it near him. The warmth generating from the leaves. You are such an annoyance to her, Phoenix laughed softly. And she loves me anyways, Meadow said with a smile, crossing his arms. That she does, Phoenix agreed as Meadow sat next to her giant form. That conversation with the prince from earlier still on your mind? She asked, concerned. Nah, I'm just tired from walking, he said, sighing. Right, Phoenix said sarcastically, as small vines grabbed the basket from Meadow. I'll make the ingredients while you talk to me about what's bothering you. Nothing's wrong, Meadow, she said in a warning voice. The soothing voice becoming more stern. Meadow sighed, leaning his head forward and looking at her roots. I knew humans thought of us as monsters, but I never realized how horrible he made us out to be. Like Lawrence really thought we would kill him and kill him to torment his father, Meadow said. Meadow, the king raised him, and more than likely he got the lies ingrained into his head. It's not something that can just go away when told the truth, Phoenix said, moving her hand down around Meadow, giving him more warmth. I haven't just told him, though. I have shown him I am not a threat, and he still doesn't trust me, Meadow shouted, annoyed, as he let out a groan. Meadow, if you were in his shoes and someone who you learned would torment you, and they told you that your father, so I was supposed to say father, or no, it is supposed to say mother, never mind, told you that your mother was a liar and a terrible person who committed those acts, how would you react? She asked softly. Well, Meadow cut off because he knew the answer. Meadow, Phoenix hummed. He isn't going to trust you or believe you because if that means that his father he loved and idolized would be a monster, and I don't think we can even imagine what is going on in his head right now. It's going to take a lot to convince him, which we can't do much, Phoenix said, lifting a finger, rubbing the back of Meadow's head. She's giving him pets with her large finger. I'm sorry, she's so pretty. I love her. Don't mind me. It's just me loving my characters. I know you're right, but I really want him to believe because he seems like a genuinely good person. I think if he would believe us, it could bring change, Meadow explained. I know that, but what exactly can you do, Meadow? She said softly. Meadow thought for a moment, then took in a small, indignant air. If he was to see something that proved it, he might believe it, Meadow said, and Phoenix sighed. Meadow, How about you come up with something that won't force you to break a sacred law? Phoenix said with a soft sigh. Then how am I supposed to get him to believe me? Meadow asked. He leaned back into the warmth of her finger. Meadow, have you actually talked to the prince properly, and not in a mocking or smug tone? She asked. Meadow shrugs. I mean, I have been speaking to him like I speak to everyone. Why would my tone matter? Dude, your tone matters, dude. He asked, a little confused. Phoenix sighed softly. He is a prince, Meadow. You should be speaking to him like you speak to the queen, meaning not smug or mocking, she explained. I guess I could try speaking to him that way, like that, but I don't know if how it will help, Meadow groaned. Try telling him what happened to your family. Try telling him what happened to your family? She asked with a soft, sympathetic tone. Why would I need to do that, Meadow? Why would I need to do that? Meadow asked quietly as he began to tap the roots unconsciously. Okay, so he does this a lot. You'll notice he taps. When grief is brought up, he does taps. He does little taps. He has such interesting mannerisms. He does little taps. He does little taps with his fingers when he's talking about emotional stuff, and I love it. I love writing those little things. I don't know why. Unconsciously. It might be something that could open his eyes to the pain that has been caused. And I understand that is very difficult for you. But if you really want to convince him or make him understand, you need to be honest with him. He has never heard anything of how the attacks have harmed phoenixes, and hearing the truth from someone who has experienced it firsthand could help him understand. Yeah, tell him the truth, she explained softly, lifting her finger as a vine rised up and dropped a basket into his lap with everything but flour. I guess I could try that, he mumbled and raised an eyebrow at the basket. Where's the Meadow? Do you see the light brown plant next to the other ingredients? Phoenix asked, pointing at the basket as Meadow nodded. That will make flour, she said with a soft chuckle as his eyes widened. Ah, wheat! Meadow said, laughing. I didn't know that. He stood up he said as he stood up. Now go annoy your friend and think what I said, okay? She hummed. Yeah, thank you, Phoenix, he said, walking backwards off the roots as the wind swept up the leaves, returning to the branches. Mama! Okay. So we got chapter 4, but I'm going to save that. I'm going to save that chapter. All you're going to get is The Truth Hurts. And all these quotes are from Phoenix. I just realized that I didn't put the little dash in Phoenix's name. I need to fix that, but it's okay. I can do it another time. Anyways, there we go. There we go. I read. I need water. I need water. Anyways. Alrighty. Yay. We read. Yay. We're done. Alright. Alright. Yeah. So here's a few little facts to know about this book. 1. The characters are you'll notice I do a lot of fangirling over my favorite characters. All right. I don't care if I wrote them. I love them. Especially Phoenix. Now, I'm going to share some facts about the book that you get to know, but nobody else will really know, even when they're reading it, because I'm not going to share these facts with anyone else but my stream. Yes. Only my stream gets these facts. So let me begin with fact number 1. Phoenix is a phoenix who died and was born into Phoenix. A very important thing to know about Phoenix is she's a goddess of nature and life. She cannot control or help in any way. I hate it when a story will introduce like gods or something as these powerful beings that can do whatever they want. They are powerful, they're magical, they could do anything. And then they have the main conflict be something that the gods could handle. I hate that. One reason why I'm not the biggest fan of Christianity, because I don't like the idea. Well, I'm not the biggest fan of any religion, honestly, because I don't like the idea that there are powerful beings above us that can do nothing to help what is going on right now. Because if they were real, or I'm not saying they're not, but if they were like, if they cared about the human race, they would do something. But they don't. And I hate that. So I made this a god who cares and wants to do something, wishes she could, but she physically has no way to do so. All she can do is grow and move plants around and transfer souls from Theonics bodies into trees. That's it. She can't do anything else. She can grow whatever she wants. She can control the nature around her. She can talk and communicate with the animals, get them to do what she wants. She can do a lot. But she cannot control things easily. And that is something I make very heavily important in a lot of my stuff. Because I make sure that you can tell that this god is powerful, yes, but she is not powerful enough to do anything about the war happening around her. Also, another thing to know about Phoenix is if you stand upon her roots, and I mean if you stand on solid ground that wasn't man-made or placed, she can hear you. Can't hear your thoughts, but she can hear you. So, if you're outside, she can hear you. And her roots are giant. They span across a giant-ass continent. I would say the continent's almost as big as, like, what, Australia? Is Australia one of the big places? Almost as big as Australia. Big continent. Big continent. And her roots spread through all out it. So she can tell when a war is about to come or when something bad's about to happen from far away. Very important goddess to have. She also can telepathically talk to any Phoenix. If they are on her ground, and only Phoenixes. A lot of her powers, you'll notice, like when I do write her, a lot of her powers only affect Phoenixes, and that's mainly because Phoenixes is all she's is what she grew up knowing, and is what she continues knowing. Anyways, I'm gonna pause and restart stream. Just so I have this saved and I can upload this VOD by itself. And I don't have to cut it down like I did with the last one. So, if you're still listening, you can go ahead and refresh. If not, then yeah. And also, I don't know what we're doing next. And in full honesty, I just wanted to use my model. So, yeah. Let me remove reading from the title.